Hi, my name is Christina Berry, and I'm an agency development manager on the Google agency team based in Mountain View headquarters. Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming Lou Brannon, Senior Paid Media Manager at CPC Strategy, one of our valued agency partners based in San Diego. Thank you for joining us today to hear more about CPC Strategy's ISO shopping campaign strategy for retail brands. CPC Strategy is a premier Google partner supporting clients such as Reef, Reebok, Dakine, and Invicta watches. Today, we're going to learn more about their ISO strategy and how they utilize this approach to really achieve client success with shopping campaigns. With that, I'll pass it over to Lou to introduce himself.
Yeah, thank you so much, Christina. It's great to be here in Mountain View with you in the studio after working with you guys for this past year. I'm glad to finally be here filming with you. So thank you guys for having me. Thanks to Google for hosting. Like Christina said, my name is Lou Brannon. I am a Senior Paid Media Manager at CPC Strategy.